All right, for more on this, we are now joined via Zoom by legal expert Khumisi Kganare. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The case is now over, of course, pending an appeal by the state. Just talk to us about what the possible next steps are.
Yes, thank you very much, Unati, and a good afternoon to your viewers. Essentially, the case is over, like you said. We just, have to wait and see what the state does about the outcome of last week's process.
What is likely, in your opinion, to happen? I mean, Judge Nompumelelo Gusha's comments were very scathing, to the prosecutors, with her suggesting in her judgment that even with the evidence that was there, it was poorly presented, and even the actual investigations were shoddy.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure we all know now that the standard is very high in South African law, insofar as it relates to the state proving its case against accused persons. Essentially, they have to advance evidence that will remove any doubt in respect of the charges that they are bringing against the accused persons in this case. So looking at the evidence that, was adduced, Judge Gusha came to a conclusion that it wasn't strong enough to remove those doubts. In fact, there's a number of doubts. If you look at what the investigator was saying, even conceding to, the fact that he could not verify authenticity of the letter that was, in question. You also look at the forensic auditor that also, did not afford the accused persons, an opportunity to hear their side of the story, and only relying on the documents that he was favored with. So it's a serious problem, and I mean, at the end of the state's case, the defense can choose not to even go into their case and just apply directly to court to say, look, with the evidence that the state has put forward, there really is no case here against our clients, and as a result, can you please discharge them from this thing and kill this matter once and for all? I mean, they can still appeal, so we will see.
I mean, judging from what we saw, of course, with the Zondo Commission, and again, just referencing what the judge said in her comments, saying it is an inescapable fact that almost 25 million of taxpayers' money left the fiscus. We know, of course, that there are other cases relating to the Estina dairy farm that are still going to be coming before the courts. What kind of precedent does this ruling or this judgment set, in anticipation of those others that are coming?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not really a good start for the state. This is, one of the first cases that are related to, the state capture issues. So I think, from a positive side, the state should just look at it as something that says to them, go back, reconvene, look at the issues properly, make sure you have the right, witnesses, make sure you have the right evidence before you can decide to, start with your matters. So essentially what it says is that any case that comes after this one and it's of the same nature in terms of evidence, there really is no prospect of success on the part of the state and prosecuting the case successfully against those that are accused of state capture.
We obviously know, of course, that the prosecutors had tried to, of course, extradite Atul and Rajesh Gupta to face this particular trial in Bloemfontein on those charges of, laundering, etc. What does this then mean for the Guptas?
What it means is, the state would then have to, remember when you extradite, then you also have to be ready as the state to prosecute. So I think for the Guptas, it would say, the state, it looks like the state is not necessarily ready to deal with us, looking at, how they dealt with this case in particular. So we will see how it unfolds.
Now, of course, this case, as we've said, and also just looking at what the judge had said in her judgment, there are then questions around the capabilities and the capacity from law enforcement, agencies that are tasked with this mammoth task of bringing some of those names that we've heard, those companies that we've heard during the Zondo Commission to book. Is the confidence waning, judging by this case, or do you have a hope that we will see successful convictions, coming up in further trials? In the near future, we know that, some of these are on the cards.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it really boils down to the quality of evidence the state should have even before they start with prosecution. So look, lesson learned, I guess, for them in respect of this one, to say go back. Even with this one in particular, I don't think appealing it is a proper avenue they should be exploring. They should just accept that they could not deal with the case properly now. Just go back, reconvene, put together whatever they need to successfully prosecute, then come back. Perhaps they still allowed to charge even after the ruling that we now have that is against them. To say over and above Nulane, any other case that comes, let's prepare properly. Let's get our ducks in the row so we can prosecute successfully and avoid issues of this nature, because it also involves resources on the part of the state. They're losing money going to prosecute cases that they are not ready to deal with.
Thank you very much, Khumisi, for your time this afternoon. Khumisi Kganare is a legal expert talking to us there following the discharge of 6 accused and 2 companies in the Nulane 25 million rands fraud case.